People I spoke with today told me that the layoffs at this Stellantis truck assembly plant this year alone speak volumes about the company's situation and the reason it is currently searching for a new CEO. You know how everyone has been talking about the auto industry's downturn, and Ram seems to be taking the brunt of it. It's so bad that some executives have been leaving recently, which is never a good sign that sales are plummeting, jobs are being cut, and when that happens, you know things are going to get messy. Ram just dropped a bombshell that has the entire auto industry in a frenzy. This isn't your usual drama of declining sales. Rather, it's something significant that is upending the company's foundation. What exactly did Ram announce, and what does it mean for the brand's future? On the event, the company wishes to conduct a public service announcement, and the deal has been declared deadly serious. What exactly did Ram announce, and what does it mean for the brand's future? If you were unaware, Stellantis is a huge international automaker that owns some of the most recognizable brands in the industry, including Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram. Fasten your seatbelts, because this is going to be an exciting ride. These brands used to be at the top of their game and practically controlled the roads, but these days it seems like the wheels have come off, and Stellantis is having trouble shifting gears. Let's start with Jeep. Jeep used to be the preferred vehicle for off-road enthusiasts and outdoor adventurers. The brand was known for its tough freedom, open skies, and endless trails. When we fast forward to the present, things appear rather bleak. Sales of Jeep have dropped by an astounding 44% since 2018, which is almost half of its market in a matter of years. If you think Jeep's story is difficult, wait until you hear about Dodge. In 2013, Dodge was booming and producing muscle cars that people couldn't get enough of. Fast forward to the present, and sales have dropped by an astounding 67%. That's not merely a downturn, that's getting worse. And then there's Chrysler. Consider it the flag bearer for innovation and elegance on wheels. This brand was once a brilliant representation of American automotive pride. But now, Chrysler is barely surviving and fighting to remain relevant in a market that is rapidly evolving without it. And with unexpected signs sweeping through the region, the Chrysler brand is reducing for the last time to the misery of its worst. What's the matter? When you look into the reasons, it's easy to see why. Let's start by talking about Ram. Stellantis isn't just going through a difficult time, it's in the midst of a full-on crisis, and a lot of it feels like self-sabotage. Long-time devoted customers are leaving the company. Ram trucks have long been renowned for their strength and dependability, as well as their rugged work-hard, play-hard attitude that appeals to consumers. However, in recent years, Ram has developed an unexpected talent pricing strategy, making their trucks so expensive that they've practically turned into showroom decorations. In contrast, Ram's main rivals, Ford and GM, have been doing the exact opposite, doubling down on innovation, offering more competitive pricing and sweetening deals to win over buyers. Ford is dashing the market with its electric F-150 Lightning, and GM is making significant strides with its EV strategy. For the majority of 2024, Ford and General Motors engaged in a full-scale pricing war, with slashed prices, weekly discounts, and cashback offers that practically beg you to sign on the dotted line. Ram has been sitting in neutral while watching customers leave the competition. There was no doubt that it was a complete win for buyers. But while Ford and GM were competing, Stellantis was just relaxing, with no significant discounts or ostentatious incentives. If you were car shopping, it was like playing your own little game of let's make a deal. You could walk into a Ford dealership, chat with the salesperson, and then walk directly across the street to a GM lot and ask, "So what can you offer me that's better?" They seemed to say, "Yeah, we're good," after watching the fight. You can't be surprised when you start losing, and lose because you didn't play the game well. Significantly, let's break it down. A few months ago, Stellantis announced that their global vehicle shipments had plummeted by 20% year-over-year in the third quarter. It gets even worse when you look at North America's shipments, which fell off a cliff by an astounding 36%. The reason for this was not some unanticipated disaster. Rather, it was because their dealerships were already overflowing with inventory. Now this is where things get interesting, because the drop in shipments was actually much larger than the drop in sales. Stellantis reported that their underlying sales dropped by only 15% during the same quarter, which may seem like a lot, but is far less than the 36% decline in shipments. What's going on with that mismatch? As it turns out, there are a few reasons. First, Stellantis has been reevaluating their product lineup, likely concentrating on models they believe will generate higher profits or be more desirable to consumers in the future. Second, dealerships are becoming more astute in their inventory management. They are no longer merely accepting cars to fill their lots. Rather, they are being cautious and avoiding overstocking models that might just sit around gathering dust. Stellantis's problems are not limited to North America. They are a part of a much larger global narrative. Not only did shipments suffer in the US and Canada, but they also declined in Europe, Middle East, Africa, and the huge Chinese market. That's a lot of ground for India and the Asia-Pacific markets, and it indicates that Stellantis is facing global challenges rather than just a local downturn. The fact that Stellantis, especially its Ram brand, seems to have lost its mojo is one of the most obvious problems. Remember when Ram trucks were the coolest kid on the block? Those days are beginning to seem like they belong in the past. The issue is that Stellantis hasn't kept up with the times. It seems like they've been circling around what worked in the past while everyone else is advancing quickly with new ideas. You can't miss it if you stroll through a Stellantis dealership. The rows of unsold vehicles just sitting there like relics from a bygone era. Other automakers are out here wowing buyers with electric vehicles that scream innovation, futuristic designs that turn heads, and high-tech features that make you feel like you're driving into the future. Meanwhile, Stellantis is clinging to aging models that don't resonate with today's buyers. And let's talk about Ram trucks specifically. One reason they're losing traction could be tied to the transition away from the iconic Hemi V8 engine. For years, the Hemi has been a symbol of raw, unapologetic power, a badge of pride for truck enthusiasts. But now Ram is moving toward the newer twin-turbo Hurricane engine, and while it's technically advanced, it just doesn't evoke the same emotional connection for die-hard Hemi fans. It's a tough sell. And, for some buyers, it's like trading in their favorite leather jacket for something that's technically warmer but doesn't have the same swagger. Let's take a moment to really think about this. Remember when Ford decided to roll out their EcoBoost V6? They didn't just pull the plug on their classic V8 engines and call it a day. Nope, they played it smart. They kept the legendary Coyote 5.0 L8 in the lineup, right alongside the new EcoBoost option. It was like saying, hey, we've got this new tech that's efficient and powerful, but if you're all about that classic V8 roar, don't worry, we've still got you. That kind of strategy genius, it gave buyers the freedom to choose love. Innovation, great. Here's the EcoBoost can't let go the deep rumble, and raw power of a V8. No problem, it's still here for you. Now Ram decided to go a whole different route. Instead of offering a little bit of both worlds, they made the call to phase out the iconic Hemi V8 entirely. Why, you ask? Well, there's probably a whole checklist of reasons. First, there's the need to boost fuel economy. Let's be honest, the Hemi was never winning awards for sipping gas. Then there are the stricter emissions regulations from the EPA, and especially California, which is notoriously tough on automakers, plus streamlining production lines at their factories probably saves them time and money. All of that makes sense on paper, sure, but here's the kicker. None of that brings any joy to the Hemi's supporters. Imagine a Ram 1500 with a Hemi cruising by. You didn't just see it, you felt it. The Hemi V8 wasn't just a strong engine, the low growl. For truck enthusiasts, the rumble from those dual exhaust pipes was like a rallying cry. This truck doesn't mess around. For many, this sound wasn't just background noise, it was a sign of pride and identity. Owning a Ram with a Hemi was about more than just horsepower. It was about making a statement every time you put the gas pedal to the pedal. Let's discuss the new Hurricane engine. On paper, it's a good replacement that produces more power, is more efficient in many ways, and has truly amazing engineering. But there's a catch. Even though the performance numbers are off the charts, the Hurricane is far too quiet. Instead of the distinctive growl that draws attention at a stoplight, there is more of a soft hum, sure, a whisper of power, but for die-hard Ram fans, it feels like something is missing. In terms of future fuel efficiency, Ram's decision to retire the Hemi was most likely the right one. In the modern auto industry, reduced emissions and regulatory compliance are all significant issues, but let's not act as though change is simple when you have something as iconic as the Hemi V8. Let's discuss the entire Ram 1500 situation. Letting it go would be like losing a piece of history. Stellantis has a bit of a problem. They know that some of these trucks are coming off the assembly line with problems, so they have 3 options, and even these options are too expensive for the Delphi district. First, they can recycle the truck, but instead of applying the brakes and fixing the underlying issues, they're just cruising along as if nothing's wrong. Sure, they're patching things up before the trucks reach the dealerships, but that's like putting a band-aid on a broken arm. It might look good for a while, but that doesn't solve the bigger problem, and those fixes don't come cheap, my friend. It's like Stellantis is attempting to save money by spending money on last-minute repairs. And let's face it, that's money they could be using to build better trucks from the beginning, or even better investing in the electric vehicle game that all the cool kids are currently playing. Speaking of EVs, Stellantis, they are now competing against the Teslas, the Revans, and the whole squad of gleaming electric newcomers who are stealing the show buyers in addition to their long-standing rivals such as Ford and Chevy. They want cars that scream futuristic, not just ones that get them from point A to point B. Vibes are packed with smart technology and have a sleek enough appearance to draw attention. It seems like the market has shifted to smartwatches, while Stellantis is still selling pocket watches. What Stellantis should do first is to stop playing defense and start leading the charge. They need to rethink their entire strategy and really shake things up, which means investing heavily in innovation, going all out on electric options, and seriously giving their truck designs a makeover. Nostalgia is cute, but it won't win over anyone who is looking to buy a car in this decade. It feels like people are stuck in the past, and in a market that is changing so quickly, that's a one-way ticket to irrelevance. Think bold, futuristic, and cool enough to get someone to stop scrolling right now. Speaking of looking to the future, finally Ram has made the decision to enter the price war that Tesla is engaged in. For what seems like forever, Ford and General Motors have been battling it out, and to be honest, it's about time. The competition has been getting fiercer, and Ram looks like it's prepared to play hardball right now. You can get a 2025 Ram 1500 with their slick new Hurricane engine. What is it, you ask? It's a twin-turbo straight-six beast that produces an incredible 420 horsepower, and the best part is that it's being offered at an incredible discount of more than $116,000. Yes, you read correctly. That means you could drive away with one for roughly $43,000. We are discussing a crew cab 4x4 pickup truck that is not only competent but incredibly impressive for just over $40,000. Let's take a moment to consider what that means. This truck is more than just a workhorse. It's your pass to weekend adventures. Just think of how easy it would be to load up your dirt bikes, kayaks, or even a camper. When winter arrives and the roads turn icy, this thing is ready to plow through like a pro. Let's face it, it's also ideal for just looking tough in your driveway. Ram is still struggling to move units because people aren't purchasing trucks as frequently as they once did, particularly with respect to trucks. This is where things get good for us, the consumers, as the market is competitive and everyone is vying for buyers due to rising gas prices and a push toward electric vehicles. This pricing war is like a golden opportunity. If Ram's discounts are this good now, who knows what kinds of offers we'll see as 2025 unfolds. Automakers are slashing prices left and right to outdo each other, so these deals could just be the beginning. Whether you're a die-hard Ram enthusiast or just someone who enjoys a good deal, now might be the ideal time to start shopping. The trick is to be patient and keep an eye on the market timing. The smartest buyers are the ones who know exactly when to pounce now because of all these issues. Maybe there will be more price reductions, or maybe there will be additional tech features added to sweeten the deal. Just 2 months after Stellantis issued a profit warning, Carlos Tavares, who was once regarded as one of the brightest minds in the automotive industry, officially announced his retirement. This wasn't a slow departure though. Rather, it came as a shock to everyone. To exacerbate the situation, Tavares shocked the industry by announcing his resignation. This shocking news comes during a terrible year for the business, when its market value fell by roughly 40%. Saint hasn't wasted any time in trying to bring things under control. They've stated that they're already looking for a new CEO and hope to have someone in place by the first half of 2025. In the meantime, Chairman John Ellen has stepped up to lead the ship by forming an interim executive committee to keep things going. Basically, it's a don't panic button, but let's face it, it's a tense situation, so get this. HRI, in his statement, DeCastri, the senior independent director, decided to spill some tea. He said that Tars didn't suddenly decide to quit. Rather, there were significant conflicts between the board and Tars' major shareholders that had apparently been building for some time before reaching a breaking point. DeCastri claims that, because of the tension, the situation became untenable and Tars resigned immediately. Talk about drama, but here's the real deal. Not too long ago, Carlos was riding high on a wave of success. He was seen as a genius when it came to steering an automotive powerhouse through rough waters in 2023. He helped Stellantis achieve an improving 12% operating margin. To put that into perspective, it wasn't just good, it was way better than what Ford or General Motors managed to pull off that year. The guy's efforts didn't just make headlines, they earned him a record-breaking paycheck of $36.5 million. Yep, $36.5 million. And wasn't just about his salary that year. Stellantis saw record profits, with their performance in the United States playing a massive role. The US alone brought in over half of the company's operating income. But, as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. For Stellantis, the fall came faster than anyone expected. By September of this year, the cracks were showing. The company issued a profit warning signaling that all wasn't well. Weak performance in the United States, which had once been their golden goose, was now becoming a liability. It was clear that the success of 2023 wasn't something they could sustain. They hit a seriously bumpy road, especially in North America, which is like the market they depend on. Things started going south pretty fast. And by September of 2024, they had to drop a profit warning that sent shockwaves through their investors. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a little hiccup. It's more like the kind of thing that makes people go, wait, what is happening over there? The company stated that they could be facing a cash burn of up to 10 billion euros, or about $10.6 billion, primarily because their sales in North America were stagnating and their inventories were growing faster than anyone could handle. This is a nightmare situation for a company that depends so heavily on this region to maintain its bottom line. After that, Stellantis decided it was time to make some significant changes at the top, and both the chief financial officer and the head of North American operations were fired. But Carlos Tars, the big boss, managed to remain for a while. However, it became clear that everyone could see the writing on the wall, and a few weeks later, the company announced that Tavares would not be returning for another term as CEO. He plans to retire when his mandate ends in early 2026. The company initially stated that they would take their time in selecting a new leader and complete the process by the end of the following year. But now that everything has gotten so chaotic, they are essentially rushing to determine who will guide this ship through these stormy waters. Let's also discuss the stock situation. To put that in perspective, Yikes shares have dropped by an astounding percentage in just a single year. Even though Ford stock is down just 7%, it's still manageable. It seems like Stellantis is in reverse gear as their rivals fly by them on the freeway. But General Motors is out here showing off with a 55% increase this year. Oh, and it's not just about the numbers. With Carlos Tavares leaving, Stellantis is facing a major turning point. They have the resources, the global reach, and some iconic brands under their belt. But they need new ideas and a leader with enough firepower to make it all happen. The entire atmosphere around Stellantis feels shaky right now. They're obviously trying to get their act together, but between the leadership changes, the cash burn, and the North American market struggles, it's like they're playing catch-up on a moving treadmill. Dealers are yelling, "Hey, give us cars that actually match what buyers are asking for shareholders." On the other hand, they are advocating for a smart, forward-thinking strategy. They don't just want a business that survives, they want one that thrives. As for the general public, their message is straightforward. Just give us amazing cars that we actually want to drive. At this point, the industry is buzzing with some serious concerns. Experts are cautioning that Stellantis must act as swiftly as yesterday in order to avoid losing their hold on important markets like the US. Since it's difficult to recover once you're out of the game, some are even speculating that, should things not improve soon, Stellantis may be forced to withdraw from those markets completely. Can you even imagine a world in which Jeep or Dodge fades into the background? That would be terrifying for any auto enthusiast. But here's the thing. The entire auto industry is undergoing a massive transformation. Think electric cars, cutting-edge technology, and a strong push for sustainability are all being crushed by competitors who are out there launching sleek electric rides, improving tech ecosystems, and committing to greener practices. Meanwhile, Stellantis feels like they are stuck in a time warp, still running the engine but not really moving forward. If they don't start keeping up, they might just become another name we mention in Remember When discussions. For this reason, Stellantis needs to hire a new CEO who is prepared to dive into what is essentially a perfect storm. For starters, this new leader will have to navigate some extremely difficult waters. It won't just be about producing cars. Donald Trump, the president-elect of the United States, has made it clear that he opposes automakers importing low-cost cars from Mexico. He has even suggested imposing tariffs on these imports, which, let's face it, could hit Stellantis in the gut. Analysts at S&P have already predicted that by 2025, these tariffs could cut off a staggering 25% of the company's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And then there's Europe. Stellantis must manage their US operations and find a way to satisfy European leaders. Stellantis can't afford to sit back and hope that things get better. The new leadership will need to get started right away with bold ideas and smart strategies to keep the company not just in the game but leading it. So yes, Stellantis has their work cut out for them. The next few years are going to be make or break. Let's see if they have what it takes. What do you think of all this? Please leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. It's likes. While you're still here, click bell to keep up with all of our most recent videos. To view additional fascinating content like this one, click the video on your screen.